Looking is pleasurable, and the object of the look is the object of pleasure. Bresson's Pickpocket and Rohmer's Claire's Knee are both films about obsession, in which the protagonists enjoy the pleasure of their desired objects. Studying these films offers an opportunity to study the filmic translation of desire. How does film communicate desire?
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonjour. Vous ne jouez pas?
Ah non, merci. Aujourd'hui, je reste spectateur.
Jérôme is a spectator in Claire's Knee. He looks at, but cannot have, the object of his desire. Jérôme is drawn to Claire's Knee. When he first sees it, in a close-up in this scene, it captures his attention. Haskell argues that Jérôme stands in for us, the viewers, and through him we see some part of ourselves, image fetishists, fixated on the parts instead of the whole. The camera takes on his point of view in this scene when it pans down to Claire's knee. We know it is doing so to express Jérôme's sexual desire. While Jérôme often pontificates about his attraction to Claire's knee, Michel remains mostly an enigma in Pickpocket. His motives are more obscure, but the object of his desire in this scene is the woman's purse. Bresson presents the purse in close-up, and we know that Michel is watching intently. His desire seems sexual, because filmically it is presented as such. As Sontag writes, Michel is absorbed in his labors, and this ballet of agile, thieving hands serves his larger goal, what she calls the masturbatory act of theft. When Michel learns how to pickpocket, hands are the focal point of action. They allow him to capture the objects he desires, and so Bresson frames them centrally. Both Haskell and Sontag see in these films a level of sexual fetishization, and the fetish, according to Metz, always signifies the lack of something. On the train in this scene, Michel is a kind of voyeur. Metz notes that the voyeur always keeps a distance, but when that distance is filled, it overwhelms the subject. When Michel steals this victim's wallet on the train, it gives him great pleasure. After he exits the train, he sits down on a subway bench. Michel now possesses the object of his fetish, his obsession. And Bresson employs the hands motif to convey that possession, expressing Michel's pleasure now that he has achieved his goal. Like Michel's hands, even when not presented in close-up, Claire's knee is the fulcrum of action in the frame. Over the course of the film, Jérôme gets closer to touching Claire's knee, the object of his desire. Here he comes tantalizingly close, and Rohmer cuts right before he makes contact. Later, in a series of shots and reverse shots, Jérôme draws closer to Claire. He is, like Michel, a voyeur. And as the character's physical proximity closes in, Jérôme the voyeur gets closer to his fetish object. Although not in close-up, Claire's knee acts as the fulcrum of Jérôme's desire and of the shot itself. Finally, Jérôme touches the knee. After his encounter with desire, Jérôme talks it over with Laura, but Rohmer's long take makes it appear as though he is performing a monologue, ruminating on his distance from Claire. Similarly, after he is caught and jailed, Michel is alone with his thoughts in voice-off.
Il y avait autre chose que je ne lui avais pas dit. Pourquoi vivre? Je n'avais rien décidé encore.
Both Michel and Jérôme have been turned back into voyeurs after encountering their fetish objects. They can no longer enjoy the pleasure of having, only the pleasure of looking.